Hello everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, Director of Johnny Mos's Lessons in Confidence, and today I would like to talk to you about artificial intelligence, or AI as it's often known as now. I mean, I suppose that's what it is. That's what AI stands for, artificial intelligence. Anyway, it's been something that for the past few years has slowly crept its way into the mainstream, from becoming this kind of sci-fi kind of concept. In the future, at some point, AI will take over, to we're now in the point where AI is in the process of taking over. You can only look at the writers' strikes from last year to get an idea of what was going on within Hollywood regarding its response to AI and the fundamental rejection of AI by the writers of Hollywood, and fairly rightly so in my opinion. In 2021, I and a good friend of mine who's going to be part of Johnny Mos's Lessons in Confidence, we made a film called Connie Lynn, and it was made with a proto version of ChatGPT. So at the time it was just called GPT-3, and this was way before ChatGPT and way before the current idea of people using AI being associated with sort of right-wing, crypto bro kind of grifter types. You know, now there's that association with that type of person and that type of content. AI is seen as this utter slop that is just slapped together. You know, you've got people that make entire channels just with AI voices, with AI scripts, about stuff that the person creating the video has absolutely no interest in and no passion for whatsoever. They're just chasing trends and just chasing whatever they think will get them some views. And when me and my friend Lee, we made Connie Lynn, there wasn't any of that going on with AI. And when we were making Connie Lynn, AI was kind of a fun, novel sort of thing, and the idea of making a feature film, a live-action feature film using AI, was something that was kind of novel, and we wanted to really do something with that. And whenever we would pitch the idea to people, like we go to film festivals and stuff, and we would pitch the idea to people, we would always get like, oh wow, that sounds really interesting, oh my god, that sounds so interesting. And I'm sure that if we were to pitch that idea now, a film made entirely with AI, you get an awful lot of, oh yeah, okay, I need to go talk to him over there. I'll be, yeah, and they try and duck out the conversation, and fairly so in my opinion, because my opinion on AI has changed an awful lot since 2021. At the time, I was very much of the opinion that AI was going to be this semi-good thing. It was obviously going to be, I had this feeling that it was going to be bad for humanity in the long run, but in the short term, it could at least be good for small-time creators and that kind of thing, to help them establish their vision in ways that they wouldn't have been able to do before. It was a new tool alongside, you know, the digital camera or you know, non-linear editors, for instance. These were things that democratized the filmmaking process and allowed people to make films that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to make. You know, you saw a huge rise in films throughout the 90s that made use of, you know, really small budgets. You got stuff like Clerks, you got stuff like The Following, you've got stuff like, I've forgotten the name of it. What's the guy who was in Spy Kids? He did the film where the guy's running around for $7,000. Probably, I don't know, no, they've got pesos in Mexico, haven't they? But it was the equivalent of $7,000 at the time. And now, you wouldn't need even $7,000 to make a film like that. You could make a film like that for maybe $500 or $1,000 now. And I think that something really good about that was that it simply made the process of making stuff, your own content, easier. However, with AI, I think my overly good nature maybe got in the way of my foresight, because very quickly after that film came out, and with the advent of ChatGPT and quite convincing AI voices, I mean, convincing in the sense that if you were just like blindly listening, not really paying attention, you know, you could vaguely, oh yeah, that's AI, yeah, you know, that kind of thing. It wouldn't be an immediate kind of thing compared to like the Microsoft text-to-speech of 10 years ago. And I do worry about AI quite a lot, and I was worried about AI at the time, and it felt like people weren't treating the threat of AI seriously. For instance, now one of the biggest complaints about AI and surrounding AI is the copyright infringement. Since a lot of these AI models are based off of feeding as much media and you know, websites and films and music and so on into it so that it can learn and understand from a wide variety of sources so that it can then regurgitate things in different contexts. I mean, you've seen stuff like DALL-E 2 and DALL-E 3, which infamously had Stutter Shock logos, you know, half baked into some of their images because they were just taking copyrighted images with the watermark still on them and just regurgitating them. And I still don't think that that's the biggest problem with AI. I think the biggest problem with AI is humanity's short-sighted nature. We're a species that don't tend to look beyond the next 10, 20 years. You know, the idea of the year 2050 is this long distant thing. The same way that the year 2025 was long distant to people coming into the millennium. And now the year 2025 is coming in a couple months, and the future is now. And 2000 at one point was the future compared to people in like 1980. And now 1984 was originally a science fiction dystopia, and now it's set 40 years in the past. So you've got this continual passage of time that is just going to march on no matter what. And we need to really adjust our thinking to the long term, because the advent of AI has fundamentally changed the nature of creativity permanently, and it's never going to go back to the way it was. And we need to really figure out our shit now, right now, because if we don't, we're going to end up losing a lot of the heart and soul that goes into a lot of media. For instance, have any of you ever been emotionally moved by a piece of AI-driven content? I imagine not. I imagine you haven't. And I imagine that when you've seen things that are AI-generated, you feel, similarly to me, this kind of empty feeling, like you're not watching something real, almost like you're watching an advert for Sainsbury's or something like that, where it's not this thing that's designed to make you feel. It's designed to keep your eyeballs glued. You've got an awful lot of channels now which are just AI pumping videos out, you know, 5-6 times a day. And I know I make 2 or 3 videos a day, but at least it's me. You know, this is all me. The camera is here. I'm out in the park. You know, this is a real thing. I mean, look. That's a real microphone. This is a real face. There's a real stuff that's going on, as far as you know. And I think that 10 years from now, a video like this might not be even possible, because you could make it and people will immediately suspect. And that suspicion is what's going to drive so much negativity going forwards. We're going to see an awful lot of true artistic ventures dismissed utterly because people assume that they're made by an artificial intelligence, that it wasn't a real human creating things. And it's a bit sad, because AI does have some legitimate good uses and things that I think can be really fun. Like there's this video thing, I can't remember what it's called, but there's a music video from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard for the song Iron Lung. And it's a really fun music video because it's the AI going completely balls to the wall and just doing whatever the hell it feels like. And it was guided by a human quite in depth. And you can kind of tell that it was very specifically crafted. It wasn't just like they let the thing run for 9 minutes. It was really deliberately put together. And stuff like that is going to get overtaken by things that are just corporately driven or profit driven. Maybe not by corporations, but by you know, people that are just trying to make a living off of content rather than true expressions of themselves through any kind of artistic vision. And I don't think that we're going to see an improvement in this regard. I don't think that we're going to see AI becoming this thing where it becomes more artistic, we're going to start seeing more slop. We're going to start seeing more things that get put into our eyeballs where we're having to judge. Is that AI? And we're going to have to be thinking that all the time in the future. Is that AI? Is that not AI? Is that, well, what's that? Is that something that's going to be, yeah, that doesn't feel real. And you know, it might become a case where someone who doesn't have the greatest artistic vision, where their film or their song or their book might be a bit all over the place. It might feel a bit generic. They might have been drawing from, you know, your basic kind of contemporaries, rather than trying to do something truly unique. And that is totally fine to do. However, going forwards, we're going to start seeing a suspicion that these people are using AI, and I think there's going to be an immediate dismissal, a rightly so dismissal. However, it is going to cause a lot of problems for small creators, and I thought it wasn't going to cause problems for small creators. I thought it was going to be similar to the advent of the internet and streaming platforms like YouTube and Amazon Prime, where they were able to democratize the filmmaking process. And they really did. I mean, if you look at the sort of films that I've been making, I couldn't have made these films 30 years ago, not just because I wasn't born 30 years ago, but if I was this age 30 years ago, I couldn't go out and make a film like Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. I couldn't just grab a camera and make something that feels semi-professional, with audio that sounds this clear, that with you know, visuals that look HD. I mean, HD didn't even really exist back then. So you didn't have the ease of access to creativity like you do now. I mean, if you wanted to make music, you would have gotten your 4-track tape recorder, and you would have put together some demos, and then you would have taken those demos to a studio, and you would have worked on them, and you'd have refined them. And it felt like it was something of a privilege to be creating in that regard, for some, in a way that other people could actually see it, and not just something to show to your friends, and people would go, oh yeah, oh, well done, yeah, great, that's really nice. They could sound more genuine than that, by the way. I'm not trying to say that no one cared. But with AI going forwards, it's going to, if anything, democratize film so much, it's going to make things so easy to create, that there's not really going to be a point in creating. Where does the artistic license end for humanity? When does our ability to tell interesting and unique stories get overtaken by a machine that doesn't really feel and think and have experiences the way that humans do? And who's to say that that is a terrible thing? What happens if films get better as a result of AI? What happens if in 40 years we get one of the greatest films that's ever been made, time and time and time again, and better than, you know, Citizen Kane, better than Casablanca, better than all the classics, and it was all made by a computer? Some people would argue, fairly so, that a film created without the human element is inherently non-artistic. I disagree with the idea that art is inherently human. I think that it doesn't need to capture the human experience in order to be evocative towards humanity. I think the idea that art is a uniquely human expression is a bit short-sighted, not just because of AI coming in the future, when it might start to be able to create serious expressions of art, but let's take a hypothetical, right? Let's say, for the sake of argument, the aliens come down to Earth, and they're fairly friendly, and they're all very, very creative, and they make films, they make music, they make types of art that we can't even conceptualize, but they sit down, they show it to us, and our minds are just blown. Wow, what an incredible piece of art that was. I can't believe I got to see that. My life has felt irreversibly changed as a result of watching this thing. The same way it might, the inspiration that you might take from watching your favorite ever film for the first time, or you know, listening to an album that completely changed your life. It might be like that, but times 1,000, because we don't have any point of comparison yet. And the only point of comparison we have now, and it's a very recent point of comparison, is AI and the things that AI can make, which tend to be of not brilliant quality. I'm not out here to try and say that our film Connie Lynn is any kind of artistic masterpiece. It was more of an experiment into the idea of using new technology and to see what could be done in the future. It was very much a prototype, and if anything, I feel like it could be a part of history in a bit of a self-indulgent sort of way. It will be a part of history that Connie Lin is one of, if not the first, live-action AI-driven piece of art. There were other things that were AI-driven beforehand, but it was kind of terrible on purpose, and it was the kind of thing you would see a video essayist on YouTube kind of go, "Ooh, wow, this film was made entirely with AI. Look at how bad it was. Look at how bad the mouth movements are. Oh, it's not even synced with the audio, and the audio sounds totally fake as well." You're going to end up seeing AI improve exponentially. Look at Siri 10 years ago, and then compare it to ChatGPT now. Because when people like to say that AI is terrible and it's unconvincing, and you might see a bit of AI struggle to conceptualize something quite basic, and you kind of jeer at it and go, "Ha, look, you know, I don't think I'm worried about AI taking over anytime soon." I think that's a bit short-sighted, because we were making the same jokes about Siri not being able to understand basic English 10 years ago, and now look at what ChatGPT can do compared to Siri. It's like the Super Nintendo compared to the PlayStation 4 in terms of the sheer amount of evolution that has happened, because it is exponential what's going on here, and it's only going to get faster, it's only going to get better, and the technology is only going to improve. ChatGPT 4 is so much better than ChatGPT 3, and when ChatGPT first was able to do maths, my mind was like, "Oh, fuck, okay, it can do maths now." I do use ChatGPT, however, I make a specific point to never ever allow it to take any kind of place in the artistic process outside of it being a voice to feed ideas to. And so it can give feedback on my ideas. So if I write a song and I write the lyrics for it, and I sort of think, "Ooh, these lyrics feel a bit pretentious," I'll copy paste the lyrics into ChatGPT and I'll be like, "These lyrics feel a bit pretentious to me. Can you do an in-depth critique of everything and analyze the themes alongside the greater context of the album that I've also told you about?" Because it now has a memory, it can remember certain things that you've talked to it about before. And it will come out with something pretty interesting. It will give me the sort of ideas that, like, okay, that line doesn't really work. Yeah, I get, but it's not that it tells me that's bad, so I go, okay, that's bad. It's that it goes, that is bad, and I kind of go, yeah, I kind of see what you mean. Yeah, I do kind of see what you mean. However, your idea for it, I'm not going to use. And if I am going to use it, I'm going to completely change the way that it works, because the AI can't actually conceptualize my artistic vision. All it can do is put one word after the other, because it's a language-based, it's a language model, ChatGPT is. It's a language model where the whole point of it is it just puts one word after the other in a way that it thinks is coherent. It has no ideas truly of human conversation and structure towards a sentence or a paragraph. It has basic ideas of grammar and stuff like that, and it can string words and sentences together in a way that feels convincing. However, it will tell you utter bullshit with the most sincerest of hearts, and then you'll point out the blatant flaws, and it will go, "Oh yes, my bad, my apologies. Yeah, no, you're actually completely right. Yeah, it is like this," and then it will just start putting in what you said was the actual correct answer. Like if you put into ChatGPT, say, I haven't tested this, but if you put in, this film is really good because the characters are really well developed. It will go, yes, the characters are really well developed, and then it will go, this character has this quality that means it's well developed, and this character has this quality that means it's well developed, and this character does this which changes across the course of the film, which makes it quite developed. And you'll go, hang on, that character didn't change, what are you talking about? That character was introduced at the end of the film. And it'll go, oh yes, you're completely right, my apologies. Actually, it's like this, the way that you said it. And then you can just make up something completely different, and it will just go along with it. And that's what it does. It's not something that's completely advanced now. However, that's not to say that it won't advance. I see AI less like a tool, less like the advent of the internet, and less like the advent of smartphones or YouTube or digital cameras. And I see it more like nuclear weapons. I feel like as nuclear weapons came out, they weren't something that could completely end the world. Like, if we had 1,000 Hiroshimas and Nagasaki's, it would be a devastating travesty, obviously. However, it wouldn't have caused the nuclear winters and the absolute apocalypse that came with the advent of the hydrogen bomb and stuff like Tsar Bomba and other massive atomic bombs like that have yields of like billions of tons of TNT in a single missile. AI, as it gets better and more intelligent, is going to be able to be used for evil. And at the moment it's being used by quite scuzzy grifters to try and make themselves a quick bit of cash. There's a certain point in time when it's going to start being used by terrorists. The classic example, I don't know much about this, I've read it before, is that you can make diseases, you can code a disease, and you could get not ChatGPT, but you could get an artificial intelligence model to create a artificial disease that you could then put together in a laboratory and then spread out to the world. And you could put in all the worst genetic sort of things to make sure that it spreads as fast as possible and does as much damage in the way that maybe it doesn't cause damage straight away, but it allows it to spread first. It would be like, if you ever play Plague Inc., imagine you had like unlimited points in Plague Inc. That's what AI is going to be able to do potentially. And I really hope that it doesn't come to that. I hope that, I hope that regulation comes like very, very, very soon, but part of me feels like it might already be too late. I don't like AI, I despise it. However, that's not to say that the few positives that it can have should be completely neglected. I feel like ChatGPT can be quite useful. I like to sometimes put old journal entries in it and ask it about what my thought process might have been at the time, or like, do you think that I did the right thing in this situation? Or I might put a script into it and go like, what do you think about these characters and going into this circumstance? Or I might put a song into it and go, you know, what do you think of this? Or I might get it to generate a piece of imagery just as an idea, as a blueprint that I can then develop the idea on my own and then do my idea properly. So I can give it the prompt, you know, I want it to make a album cover of a butterfly in a museum exhibit surrounded by people dressed in 1950s, 60s kind of outfits, you know, kind of an Americana style thing. And it will pump that out. And obviously I would feel very immoral actually using that piece of artwork, although I wouldn't use artwork in quotes. I would say it does technically count as art. However, I don't think that this art is intrinsically moral. I think it's intrinsically immoral, but not necessarily because of the copyright infringement, although that is certainly a part of it, but that's a minor part to me. The major part of me is that as the AI develops, we are creating an existential threat for humanity. And I feel like we're not taking that seriously because, as I said earlier, humanity is an extremely short-sighted species. We don't look far into the future. We're not thinking about the year 2050 as anything other than a figment of our imaginations where we'll have fixed everything by then. You know, let alone the year 2100. I might be alive in the year 2100. I might not be. If I live to the age of 102, I might be alive. However, that just seems so far in the future to me. And, you know, 1950 is further away than the year 2100. Yeah, it is. No, it's slightly, it's about that, okay? And 1950 doesn't feel like a totally different time. It feels certainly like a different time. It certainly feels like it's a bit alien to me. And I'm sure if I was suddenly plonked into this exact spot in 1950, I would be quite confused, and I would probably commit a fair few social faux pas. I would speak weird, and people would point that out. And you know, my moral system that I use in the 21st century wouldn't be applicable in the 1950s. The same way that my moral system in the 2020s won't apply to someone living in the 2110s, for instance. However, the 2110s isn't that far away. It's not that far. It's obviously not the immediate future. However, just because it's not going to happen within the next election cycle or whatever doesn't mean it's never going to happen, and it's just something that shouldn't be worth thinking about. It's something that annoys me with the discourse around climate change, and particularly the continual reliance on oil. Not that I'm supporting groups like Just Stop Oil. I'm going to stay neutral on that. But oil is predicted to run out in the year 2050, right? What are we going to do then? Because 2060 isn't that far away. It's 36 years away. Someone that's born now will only be 36 years old, and we don't think of someone being 36 years old as being like an old person. We see them as being a fairly youngish person. Not like, you know, an absolute young'un, but certainly someone that hasn't yet reached middle age, someone that isn't particularly old. And we're going to reach a point in the future where we're going to be faced with these existential threats, and we should deal with them now rather than sit on them and procrastinate and allow them to unravel and overtake our humanity and our art. So I think that's going to be everything. If you want to check out Connie Lin, it's going to be in the description. It's on Amazon Prime. I think you've got to buy it. So sorry about that. But it's not going towards AI, and we're not using AI anymore. It's not a part of my workflow in terms of actually using it for any artistic vision the way that I was using it for that. Because with that, I fed the script into it, we got it to make a new script, and then we put the film out. We filmed the film according to the AI, and we let the AI be the guiding voice, because at the time that was a novel thing, and it's not a novel thing anymore. It's not cool and hip and new. Now it's quite scary, you know. It'd be like us making a pro-smoking film in 1960. It's still just about, but if we'd made that in 1975, people would sort of go, oh, it's a bit odd making a pro-smoking film. It's a strange analogy, I know, but whatever. If you want to check it out, then please do. Your support means the world to me and to all of my fellow collaborators and my friends, and what I would consider my family in a way. And going forwards, my approach to AI is this. I use it merely as like a personal assistant, and I think if it starts to get, and when it inevitably starts to get worse, I think I'm going to become more Luddite with my approach regarding AI technology. And I'm going to become more unnerved by it, because I'm already pretty unnerved. In fact, I actually made a video on this exact topic about 5 years ago, before the advent of ChatGPT, and even when GPT-3 and the idea of OpenAI was barely even a thing. I actually came up with this idea about 10 years ago, when AI was Siri and what's the Windows thing? I don't even know. Cortana, that's it. You know, when those were the cutting edge, I realized that going forwards, the AI is going to get better exponentially, and as it does, it's going to overtake human creativity at some point. And all we can do is we can continue to support each other as fellow humans. And there's going to become a point when something being made by humans is going to be almost a selling point. It's going to be, oh wow, this film feels very true to life and very human. And the phrase, it's a very human feeling film. I've been using the phrase naturalistic for, and humanistic for my film, Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, which to me at the present means it feels like a real conversation between humans, the way that I have them in real life, the way that I talk with my friends and my family and my fellow peers. However, I feel like in 40 years, the term humanistic film will just mean a film that is made by humans. And that unnerves me. However, we can't sit in the dark and act like the future isn't going to happen, because it is. And I don't know what to do about it. I don't have the answers. All I can do is try and raise awareness for this cause that, you know, there's already quite a lot of awareness around it already. However, I wanted to add to the discourse, essentially. I don't have anything particularly fresh or new to add to it, but I just wanted to add to it in my own way. and give you some of my experiences, because AI can be quite useful. It can help democratize film. However, I think that we're playing with fire. I really, really do. And if you do see a film that is using AI for some interesting artistic purpose, then do check it out, do recommend it to us in the comments, and let's get some discourse going around the topic of AI, because I don't quite know what to make of it, and I feel like I've gone around the same few ideas now for what feels like a long time. So I'm gonna call it quits for here. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Joshua Morrison. Watch Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence when it comes out, made completely by humans. There's a lot of people walking back and forth, but I feel like that kind of adds to it. I love this this little thing. You can do a bit of this. It's sweet, isn't it? It's brilliant, isn't it? I like coming here sometimes and sitting and watching the sunset. Sunset sets in that direction. Sets over there. Here's a shot of it actually. It's cool, isn't it? Da-da-down, da-da-down, out. Oh, my arse is wet.